9 of the creepiest science experiments ever.
You could say things are getting pretty serious.
Welcome back, YouTube. SD here with a quick question. If, like the $6 million man, you could turn one part of your body into a robot, what would that be? Keep it clean, folks. Keep it clean. Number 9. Kevin Warwick is a professor of cybernetics at Reading University. In 1988, he started Project Cyborg, where he implanted an RFID transmitter into his arm in order to become a cyborg. This enabled Captain Cyborg, as he became to be known, to control doors, lighting, and any other computer or electronically controlled device that was near. In 2002, he went a step further by having a brain gate electrode array implanted that connected directly to his nervous system. Now his wife soon joined in on the cyborg party by having a chip installed as well, in the hopes that they could somehow create a form of telepathy using the internet. They were successful in having the first direct and exclusively electronic communication between the nervous system of two humans. In the original Terminator movie, it is warned that in 1997, Skynet becomes self-aware. While these two idiots are a few years behind, the truth is, even Stephen Hawking warned that someday artificial intelligence could wipe out humanity.
Shall we play a game?
Number 8. One of life's biggest questions is, do we actually have a soul? This is a question that Dr. Duncan McDougall tried to answer. Now, how would you go about finding if a human being had a soul? Well, in 1901, the good doctor found 6 patients in an old folks' home who were dying of tuberculosis. Once it was determined that the patient was close to death, that patient and their bed would be placed on an industrial-sized scale that was purported to be accurate within 0.2 of an ounce. 4 out of 6 of the patients seemed to experience an unaccounted-for weight loss, which the doctor would claim supported his hypothesis that the soul had mass and upon death would depart the body, leaving it lighter. He attempted to replicate this experience with dogs, but found no indication of any weight or mass loss, thus leading him to believe dogs have no souls, when in reality, this motherfucker had no soul, because of the difficulty in finding dogs close to dying due to natural causes would leave this asshole no option but to kill the dogs himself to perform his experiment. Number 7. Now in 1962, by all accounts, Tusco was an average elephant who just wanted to live a normal elephant life, whatever the hell that consists of. But 2 psychiatrists from the University of Oklahoma decided they wanted to see if they could induce a temporary form of madness called must that is characterized by extremely aggressive sexual behavior in a bull elephant. Now how did they plan on doing this? By giving the elephant the biggest dose of acid ever.
You just ate the most acid I've ever seen anybody eat in my life.
Now, according to reports, it was enough LSD to make 3,000 people hallucinate. The elephant immediately began to trip balls and started to Number 6. Dr. Robert Cornish, by all accounts, was a genius. He graduated with honor from Berkeley at the age of 18 and had received his doctorate by 22. Late one night, probably watching a really bad horror movie, came up with the idea that it could bring people back from the dead using a teeterboard. Yeah, you know, one of those seesaw rides you see at children's playgrounds. I guess the merry-go-round was occupied. The idea was to inject people who had died recently with adrenaline while tilting them up and down to get the blood flowing in them. Apparently he was successful with a couple of dogs that he so aptly named Lazarus 4 and 5. But the man died well before Stephen King's book Pet Sematary came out, so there's no way he could know what was in store for him. Number 5. To settle the age-old question of nature versus nurture, inspired by a story about the wolf children of India, Dr. Winthrop Niles Kellogg decided to put his money where his mouth was. He moved to Florida and created an experiment where 7.5-month-old infant chimpanzee would be raised alongside his own child Donald. Now the idea was to treat the chimp and child equally, to quote, as possible, being dressed, bathed, fed, and taught in a similar manner. In the end, the chimp physically grew faster than Donald. Now she in fact learned some of the behaviors more quickly. Donald must have been stupid. But after 9 months, the chimp had shown no signs of trying to communicate using human language. So the experiment ended. The Kellogg's moved back to their home state of Indiana, while the chimp was left in Florida wondering why she's wearing a fucking diaper. Number 4. Soviet scientist and organ transplant pioneer Vladimir Petrovich Demikov decided to take a ride down the highway to hell. It was the 1950s, we're talking full-blown Leave It to Beaver type era, and this man was performing bizarre experiments like dog head transplants. 22 of them to be exact. None of the animals lived very long. The record was about a month, but these experiments did go on to expire the next creepy scientist in our list. Number 3. This next guy is probably licking Satan's boot in hell. Robert Wyatt was a highly acclaimed neurosurgeon that performed well over 10,000 surgeries and was published in medical journals more than 900 times. Now one day in 1970, he got a hair up his ass and decided to play God and transplanted one monkey's head onto the body of another. But get this, the doctor nicknamed himself Humble Bob. What an asshat. However, the series of experiments that led up to this earned him the nickname of Dr. Butcher. The surgery was successful, but he had to sever the monkey's spine, causing it to be paralyzed. But because the cranial nerves in the brain were still intact and getting blood, this poor creature could still hear, smell, eat, and follow the doctor with his eyes. Was probably wishing the whole goddamn time he could fling some poo at him. Number 2. Ever wonder how evil leaders got the foot soldiers to do their bidding? Well, so did Yale psychologist Stanley Milgram, who wanted to see if men from a variety of educational and occupational backgrounds would obey a perceived authority figure, even if it conflicted with their personal conscience. 3 men would be involved in the experiment. There was the experiment/leader, then there was a teacher, who was the subject of the experiment and an actual volunteer, and another man, the student, who pretended to be a volunteer but was actually in on the whole thing. During the experiment, the teacher would read off word pairs which the student would have to pair them correctly at a later time. If at any time the student got an answer wrong, the teacher was to shock him.
This will be at 3:30.
No real shocks were administered. It was all show for testing purposes. But the teacher, who is a real volunteer, was not aware of this. In the end, regardless of how much the student complained, the teachers would continue to increase the voltage and shock them. If they attempted to stop, the experimenter/leader would prompt them to continue.
It's absolutely essential that you continue. Continue, please. Yeah, go on.
Simply telling them, please continue. Or, you have no other choice, you must go on. And they did. Ultimately, the experiment answered the question of would people or soldiers commit horrible acts under the belief or excuse that they were only following orders. That answer was a resounding yes. And now onto the creepiest and scariest science experiment of them all. But first, click that subscribe button right there. Number 1. Got a robot, but its batteries seem to wane after a couple of hours of cleaning the house? Well, thanks to DARPA, that soon may not be a problem. They are working on an energetically autonomous tactical robot, or EATR. Now, what the fuck does that mean? Well, let SD spell it out for you. It's a robot that can get its energy by eating flesh, plant or animal. Sure, it still runs by conventional means, gas, propane, solar, but yeah, it also employs a biomass furnace that feeds on organic materials that it gathers using a claw and chainsaw. It's like Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees fucked and shit out a self-aware killer golf cart.